What is the cheapest property listed on Zoopla in the UK? Well, a newspaper over the weekend reported that you could buy a house for £35,000 in a place called Hartlepool in the northeast of England, County Durham. But that is not the cheapest property I found on this listing website, Zoopla. I found a studio flat listed in Bradford in Yorkshire for £5,000. And there are probably also cheaper properties than 35,000 listed in auction catalogues, but you don't know whether the buyer will accept the price, the catalogue price that they're giving, but it could be 10% higher, for instance. But there's lots of so-called bargain properties out there for probably less than 30,000, sometimes less than even 10,000, as demonstrated with this studio flat. Now, the average price in the UK is just over £265,000 according to Land Registry. So why the wide disparity? Well, I mean, part of that comes because of location, obviously, right? That's one reason. I mean, for instance, there's an 8-bedroom house listed in London's Belgravia Square, around the corner from Harrods in Knightsbridge, listed for £77.5 million. That's an 8-bedroom terrace house. And it's quite unusual because it's freehold as well. A lot of the properties around there are leasehold, with the freeholds belonging to the Duke of Westminster, who's had money and property in his family for hundreds of years. I talked about him in previous episodes. And there are more expensive properties listed and sold privately. I mean, if you're selling a £100 million penthouse, you might not list it on Zoopla. It might have been sold privately before it's even completed. There are many wealthy Russian billionaires, Middle Eastern billionaires, and so on, Chinese, buying hugely expensive properties from abroad, usually with large amounts of cash. So location is one aspect of it, but I think location can explain away why a normal house, say in the outskirts of London, would be say £500,000, and you could get a similar house in Luton, 20 miles up the road, for maybe 200,000 or 300,000. But that's location. But there are many other reasons why you will see properties that look amazingly cheap and are apparent bargains, but they might not be. And there are a number of reasons why properties go into auctions, for instance. Some of the reasons could be defective construction. There's cracks in there. There's something wrong with the roof. There's something wrong with the foundations. There could be subsidence in the foundation causing the property to move. That could cost a lot of money to put right. It could be riddled with damp or woodworm or all sorts of things. Sometimes properties have been used as drug houses. They'll cost a lot of money to put right. There's also defective titles. This is where the title or the freehold or the leasehold cannot be established, or there's a problem with it, or it overleans another property. It could be a flying freehold. There are all sorts of reasons. And defective leases, of course, where maybe the lease, there's a problem with the lease between the lease and the freeholder. Could be a very short lease, could be a 5-year lease. For instance, there was a property listed in London for £500,000 in I think it was Eaton Square in Belgravia for £500,000. Well, that looks cheap. And then it turned out it only had a 2-year lease. So to extend that lease at the end of those couple of years would probably then cost maybe several million. We don't know. So there are lots of different reasons. Properties in tower blocks, properties with construction problems, could be unmortgageable. Properties built in a certain way, or maybe the properties are mobile homes that are not mortgageable. They call them mobile homes, but they're not really mobile. They don't move around, but they could be on a mobile home site where you can buy houses for less than £100,000, and in some areas maybe less than £30,000, but they're not proper freeholds, they're not mortgageable, and the value of that property eventually just dwindles and dies with the owners. A lot of retired people live in these parks, as they call them, trailer parks. I don't know what you call them in America. So buyers need to be aware and do their own checks, especially at auctions, where you're not getting the benefit of an estate agent who then has to list the property and tell you everything. The auctioneer will just say, you have to read the legal pack. It's up to you. Buyer beware. You read everything. And sometimes when you go into those legal packs, you find that there's actually not that much information. Properties were being sold at recent auctions that had flammable cladding on the outside, but it wasn't properly declared in the legal pack. So someone buying that flat, this is in London, seemingly cheap. It went fairly cheap. I thought, well, that is cheap. Went for around 300,000. Normal market, it would be worth certainly over £400,000. It was in a high-rise block, but that block, I know that particular block has had problems with the cladding and security issues. So you might buy this property that then needs round-the-clock security because of the risk of fire, and therefore the service charges will be just crazy and go through the roof. Many people have bought leasehold flats that have got this cladding that are now worthless. And so, yeah, somebody might say, well, I'll buy that flat at a knockdown price, and then I'll wait it out until we know what the cost of doing all this work is. Because certainly the person that bought it hasn't got the money to pay for the upgrade of the cladding and the outside work, and they'll just hand the keys back in. That property could be repossessed and then sold at well below the previous market value, and then the person buying it would then have to bear the costs of whatever work needs doing to bring it up to scratch. So sometimes people buy properties like that, flats above shops, for instance, above fast food, very, very difficult to get a mortgage on. So there's all sorts of reasons why properties, but you have to do your own checks and legal inquiries. Don't just rush in and buy something. Properties on old coal mine sites can have foundation problems. They could be collapsing. Properties near a cliff, overlooking the sea, could soon be in the sea. So there's a million reasons why you've got to really have a good lawyer and make all your checks before you buy a property anywhere in the world. In fact, British people are known for buying things in Spain without doing these inquiries. They go off in the sun, a place in the sun, and just buy something, but things that they would never do when they're at home. So just be a bit careful on that. If something looks like it's too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. The real answer really is to make sure that I think you've got to make sure that you understand the property market, especially if you're buying as an investment and not just buying, to live in. Because my opinion, the way I see it, if you're buying for a buy-to-let or an investment or to flip, that's when you really need to know your stuff. If you're buying to live in, then, people buy. When I first bought my property, I didn't really understand leases. I bought a leasehold flat, but I was buying it to live in, and it went up in value anyway. So I had a solicitor to point out if there was any problems with the lease, and there wasn't. But I wasn't an expert at that time. But I still made money on that first flat, even though the market seemingly went dead and it went down, but eventually went up, and that enabled me to buy a house from the money I made on that flat. And I was paying a mortgage at 16% at that time. So, but when you're buying to invest in, to fix up and buy and refurbish, or you want to buy a property maybe with no money down, or you want to buy a property using a joint venture partner, or you want to control a property using options, then this is when you need to really understand the market and take some courses. So if you'd like to learn more about investing, managing your money, or become a property investor, or would just like to be financially free without working any harder, look at the link below, and there's some on-demand training you can watch on how to be financially free without working any harder. If you'd like to learn more about property courses, just drop me a direct email and I'll put you in touch with some very good free courses that you can do. Millionaire and millionaire habits have been studied for years, decades, and there's been academic studies done at university. So we understand what the habits are we understand the habits of millionaires. We know what it takes to be a millionaire, 100 millionaire, and a billionaire, and a decamillionaire, a multimillionaire. So you can follow those steps, and I put some of those steps in my book, Yes, Money Can Buy You Happiness. But I've also put this in this video and showing you how you can become financially free. It's not an overnight thing. It's not a get rich quick scheme, but it can be done if you just follow the steps and you sit on the shoulders of others and follow in the tracks of those people that have gone before you. So have a look at that training, and then if you've got any queries, come back to me. But do have a look at that training, because it could change your life today, right away. And I'll give you a free gift just for watching the training, which will immediately transform your situation today. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.